Hello, how's everyone doing? Welcome back to my channel. My name is Jill if you're new here. I'm so glad that you're back. If you hear some whining in the background, that is my daughter's dog, Elena. She has been gone with her boyfriend on a cruise. They went to Mexico on a 5-day cruise. They should be on their way back now, but they've had a great time. She's been FaceTiming, text messaging, we've been talking on the phone, so I'm really glad that she got away and had some fun time. So today we're going to talk about the case that happened in Odessa, Texas. And back in 2004, sorry. And it is a true crime, but it's not anything that's going to be too gross and gory. I promised my brother that I would do at least one thing that wasn't really, he said, I want something that's not depressing at least once on your channel. So I said, okay, well, I found this. And it's not too terrible. It's actually a little more on the, I don't know, seedy side of things. Anyway, so I hope you're going to like this video. There's been some great comments going on, great discussions. And so I hope you like it this time. And maybe consider joining so that eventually I can go live, possibly get the plaque that I want from YouTube. Anyway, so stick around for this video. Okay, so let me just tell you why I started watching I started with the Lifetime movie. Okay, so Jennifer Love Hewitt is in the Lifetime movie, and it's called The Client List. That came out in 2010. And I'm a big fan of hers, so I was like, this looks good. I'm going to watch it. Cybill Shepherd is in it, and she plays her mother. Jennifer Love Hewitt is a mom who is married to a man who went to UT, and he had a big, promising football career. Well, he ends up getting hurts his knee, and she loses her job at a massage parlor where she done physical therapy. She had went to school, got her physical therapy license, and her company downsized, so she loses her job. So they're stuck there, and they don't have any money. And they've got like 3 kids, and they're both, he's laid off work, she's looking for a job. And, it goes on to kind of tell how she's an ex-beauty queen, homecoming queen. And she thought that, she was marrying the love of her life, her high school sweetheart. He was going to be a big football star, and that just didn't happen for them. So it goes on to tell the story. It is not filmed in Texas. It is not filmed there. However, Jennifer Love Hewitt is from a Texas town, as well as the producers from the movie are from Texas. So they do a pretty good job of kind of giving the setting of type that it is in Texas. So I watched the movie, and it says, based on actual events, names and characters and whatnot have been changed. So after the movie, I was talking to my mom, who was alive at the time. My mom did pass from COVID in April. So that's a sad subject with me. But at the time, my mom was alive, and she was like, yes, Jill, that was true. I remember this happening. And I was like, oh no, I got to find out what went on. I can't believe this is a true story. This is crazy. So then I thought, well, I'm going to look it up. And I did look it up back then, but I went to look it up again so I could do this video on it. So the parlor was right in a strip center in Clearview side. It wasn't hidden like a seedy hidden massage parlor. There was a revivalist ministry and a carpenter shop on one side. It was right there in plain view. The first 3 that they hired to work there was a lady named Melinda. She was 37 years old. She wore conservative outfits. However, Melinda was subdued. She was a long-haired brunette, and she was said to be the wild one. Then there was Paige. Paige was sophisticated. She was blonde. She had a striking resemblance to Samantha from Sex and the City. And then there was Kelly that worked there. Kelly was from a strict upbringing of a Pentecostal religion, but she had worked at the Healing Touch from the beginning when it opened. And she had established a lot of customers that would come in to see her. And it was said that she had up to 14 clients a day, and she was making $2,000 to $3,000 a week. And they would come in and see her. So I think she was one of the girls that made quite a bit of money at the Healing Touch. Okay, so I told you about Kelly. Now, Kelly was working there. It just so happened that Kelly noticed her preacher had come in and was sitting in the waiting area. She went up to him and she said, "Didn't you baptize my son?" And he said, "Yes, I did." But he continued for his appointment. She led him back to his room. And after that day, she said it made her so sick that she just could not continue working at the Healing Touch. Now, I haven't told you what goes on in those rooms yet, but if you were putting some things together, you can probably imagine what was happening for these men back at the Healing Touch. And yes, I did say her preacher that had baptized her son was sitting, waiting in that lobby. Okay, so now enters Lexus. Now keep in mind, these are not the girls' real names that they are giving us. But Lexus is at home. Her husband is out of work, much like Jennifer Love Hewitt's character in the client list. Her husband's out of work from an illness. Lexus was homecoming queen. She was bubbly. She was a cheerleader. She was a massage therapist. Her job had downsized as well, and she had been let go of her job. She's sitting in the backyard of her home, and her husband's friend leans over and says, "I know of a place where you can make some very quick money." Now, her husband didn't know about this. So one day, Lexus decides to ride with her friend's husband down to the Healing Touch. The friend's husband proceeds to lead her inside the Healing Touch, where he walks up to Sharon and says, "This is Lexus. She would like a job here." Now, Kelly had just left, so there was an opening for a third girl. She said, "Why don't you sit in on your friend here, his massage, and then you could tell me if you would like to try and start working here." So she did. She sat in on the friend's massage, and she said she sat in the corner and she watched him get his massage, and she told herself that she could do this because, keep in mind, their mortgage is backed up to $8,000, I believe. They'd been getting money from his parents. They were about to foreclose on the house. They needed this money and they needed it quick. Now, Lexus would tell her husband that she got a job at a massage parlor. Only a massage parlor. However, this was not a massage parlor. This was a massage parlor with extras. And I'm sure you can figure that out, what extras were. But this is just not a story of a massage parlor with extras. This story gets quite interesting. So Lexus asked, is there security? Well, they said that, Sharon was the security. Sharon was a very tough as nails woman. She sat up in front. She knew the customers. She knew undercover. She actually knew who was on that list, who was supposed to be there and who wasn't. And they weren't getting back in those rooms if they weren't allowed. Now, Kathy maintained a first-rate madame status in town. As a matter of fact, she had been working in this genre for more than 20 years. So she had quite a few lawyers as clients. They didn't need to advertise. It was word of mouth. They may have had a little tiny ad and a little tiny paper somewhere, but other than that, they didn't need any advertisement because, men tell men. Okay, so Lexis comes in. She is bubbly. She is smart. She's got the brain. She's got the body. Men fall in love with Lexis. Okay? She shot her way to the top, basically. She made tons of cash. She didn't have a lot of experience, although she does say that she did go to school for her massage license and she could give a proper massage, and that when her clients left, they did not have any back pain. She was very proud about that. She said that she had the girl next door looks, and men just loved her. And she said that the clients, they would fly in from Europe for just 1 hour to see Lexis. The most prominent men in town were competing for her attention. On her first day of working at the Healing Touch, Lexis made $700. And within weeks, she was pulling in $1,000 a day. Sounds like she was really pulling in the cash. Working 10 to 6, and these girls kept normal average business hours. They made sure that they weren't working at 12 midnight or 3 in the morning. They were working normal business hours. She drove the 1.5 hours from her home in Spring to Odessa, returning home each night to cook dinner for her children, tuck them in bed, and spend time with her husband. However, her husband did at one point ask her if she was giving any extras at her job, and then she did deny it and say, absolutely that's not happening. Now, the other two women's clients were asking for Lexis, and so for Christmas, Lexis was getting $1,500 in bonuses. She was getting asked to be taken on vacations, or to be SDs by some of the men. So, she was doing well. She was doing well. I don't know. I think mentally this is maybe when she was kind of getting pulled in every direction. She's a mom, she's a wife, and then she's got to be here and be this at work. So I think eventually it's going to start taking its toll on her. So Sharon would say that the clients that came into the Healing Touch were mostly married. They were professionals, age ranging from 40 to 60 years of age. For them, the Healing Touch would be just a part of their routine in the middle of the day. Like if they were going for the grocery store or to run errands, that was their quick 30-minute stop in the middle of the day. They would stop in for 30 minutes, have their little massage, and go about their business. That's just what they did. And she said that she would hear the girls chuckling in the room all the time saying, God, I had no idea how much a man needs to hear that he's studly. One of them would say that she would have a man go and flex in the middle of a mirror for 15 minutes just to look at himself. And they said that men would come in asking them, do you think I'm fat? Or they said, that they needed to feel important, just like women needed to feel important. And they would ask a lot of the same questions. there was men in very high positions that were coming in there, seeing these girls. And there was a well-known lawyer, Lee Haddon, who was assistant district attorney, despite the fact that his wife was considered one of the most beautiful women in town. He was a very faithful person to come in to the Healing Touch. So, just so you know, you can be one of the most beautiful, fit women in this world. And some men, not all of them, some men are never going to be satisfied with just that. Okay, so we all remember Kelly went and told the whole ministry about what was going on at the Healing Touch. So she continues to call. Not only that she continues to call, but the minister there begins to call. So the police began receiving many, many calls. Now they had already received calls. They kind of knew stuff was going on there, but they're inundated with calls this time. So they're inundated with all these calls. And Kelly begins to call and she's like, no, you don't understand. The men that are going in here are prominent men. These are men from the Rotary Club. These are men that are supervisors. These are men that hold high positions. So the police decide, you know what, we've got a lot of calls. We're going to set up a camera across the street from the parlor so we can watch the parlor. And one of the detectives is seen shaking his head, you know, just walking around in the parking lot. And he said, you know, I just saw my best friend for my wedding enter into that parlor. They watched as so many prominent businessmen were pulling up in Jaguars, Mercedes, BMWs. They couldn't believe all the men that were pulling up. And we're talking about high officials with families and holding big positions in this town. And they said, you know, we're not going to be able to get them on the charges of what they're doing in those rooms because they had already sent in an undercover police officer, and Sharon was right on it. She said, get out of here. You're not going back there. Go. She knew what they were doing. But one of the tips had said they had illegal substances in the back. So they thought, you know, we can get them on the illegal substances that they have inside of there. So that was their angle for them. So Kathy and Sharon were hearing from some of their clients that were in the police force that police were wanting to come in and look and raid the place. And they said, you know, they were good businesswomen. They'd been doing it for a really long time. And they said, well, as long as we can keep them from going in the rooms, we're good to go. So they said, you know, we want to really increase the revenue of this place. Let's go ahead and increase profits by putting the girls on the computer, and they put them on an adult international website. So each site listed the monetary amounts the girls would charge, as well as what services they would offer, contact information for them. And the website found that Lexus was very popular. Her traffic was crazy. And actually the website had to limit her customers because the postings for her on the server, or the postings on the site, was causing the server to crash. And anyways, so at this point, she's on this website, she's at work, you know, she's trying to make it home, cook dinner, do homework, school projects. She's tired. She is tired, you know. So it's taken a toll on her family now and her family life. There were days she said she would come home and she said, I can't kiss my husband or my kids, knowing what I've been doing all day. I can't do it. But she said she would tell herself, when my little boy or little girl asks to be in ballet, she needs those ballet shoes, or he needs his shoes for his soccer, or if he wants that new backpack, I want to give that to him. So she would justify this, with being able to give her kids the things that they want without having to stress and worry about money. So on the morning of May 27th at 10 a.m., Kathy, Melinda, and Sharon, they were all sitting around, lounging around. Lexus had went down to go pick up some beer for the day. And she was walking in. She sat the beer down. No longer did she sit the beer down. In come these police. And they round up all of them. And let's see, Sharon, Paige, all of them. And the officers rushed and they slammed the girls against the wall. Sharon just sat there calmly. She was eating breakfast and she said, "Do you have some paperwork for me?" And they said, "We have a search warrant for substances." Well, she wasn't expecting that. They did find substance in the cars of Melinda and Lexus. So right away, they separated all the women. After that, there would be no more secrets in Odessa because these girls were going to spill all these names of all these men. So they were stunned. They were stunned that these girls had all these memories, but they were particularly stunned with Lexus because Lexus, they said, had a photographic memory, meaning she remembered every man's last names, not only their last names, what job they had, their families, their wives' names. She had it all right here. And believe me, they wanted those names. They said, "We don't want names of people that aren't going to do anything for us. We want the big names. We want the names of the people that are in City Hall. We want the names of the people that can do things for us." And she had them. She not only had the names, but she could tell them what services they got. They thought, maybe this girl is lying. That's what they thought. They brought in the men to question the men. The men's story would match up identical with Lexus's story. So they knew she was telling the truth. There was also a client list, if you will. It was a book that Sharon and her partner had kept of all the men. So what the police did is they rounded up all these men and they brought them in. 95% of the men confessed to what they had been doing. This town went crazy. The local media was calling, demanding. They wanted the list. They wanted to print it in the paper. They had wives calling the police station. They wanted to know if their husbands were on that list. They were in an uproar. They were mad, to say the least. So the police said that the case had to be investigated fully before they would even give out the list to the newspaper. So they were going to give the list to the newspaper. For the next 2 months, everyone in town was on edge. Even innocent men were said to be extremely paranoid. They reported that one man told his wife, "Honey, I have a very, very common name. There's a lot of men in this town with my name." And she said, "Honey, your name, you better hope those men are not on that list." So you can imagine the homes at this time, just waiting to see if your husband's name is on that list. Wow. So July 27th, the town of Odessa gathered around their TVs to watch the news unfold on Channel 9. It broke into its regular scheduled program at 8:15 a.m. in the morning. I don't even know if the kids are at school at 8:15 a.m. in the morning, but I'm sure everybody there was watching. It carried it live. The police arrested the Healing Touch women along with the owner and the woman that owned the building that the Healing Touch was in, and the 68 men. They brought all of them to a large facility. On the movie, it shows them bringing them in a bus. I don't know. I couldn't find pictures. I did look. Anyways, so they said that the wives were so angry, they were outside with those old home video cameras videoing what was happening. They were videotaping the entire thing. They brought the men into the building. They said some of the men were chuckling nervously because they recognized each other. Some of them were like tipping their hat at each other. They sat in rows and they waited their turn. They faced $2,000 and up to 6 months in jail, but the standard plea would be $1,500 and up to 30 days in jail. But the humiliation still continued because the list of 68 of the 68 Johns was printed in the Odessa American. The next morning, immediately locals picked out names they knew, and they were substitute teachers, attorneys, ranchers, multimillionaires, deacons, accountants, editors, welders. Some men were disappointed that they were not on the list and said they should have been on the list and that there was a conspiracy. There was also said to be shirts handed out that you could buy that said Odessa Scandal 2004, and on the back, like a concert shirt, was all of the 68 men's names printed. I did look for that shirt. I couldn't find it. That all had, it was just crazy. And then they said around town, the joke was the men would be like, hey, so-and-so, your name is on that list. Why didn't you tell me? I would have went over there for my massage. Sharon and Kathy, well, they received a year and a day for substance charges. And the girls received 15 days and 1 day for servicing. In the end, I think that the men were given a very light tap on the hand. The girls kind of moved away. I tried to do some digging. I think most of them, I didn't really even find out most of their real names. I will leave a picture of Lexis because she was very proud to do. So I will leave a picture of Lexis. Lexis has no shame in her game. She was very proud of her past. She was proud of what she did. She was proud of the money she made. And you know what? She's an adult. Okay, so Texas Monthly did an interview with Lexis, and I'm going to put that up there, the issue and everything she was in. But they said when they interviewed her, how did she come up with her name? And she said simply, I didn't come up with my name. The girls came up with my name. They said that I look like a smooth ride, so I should be named Lexis. And they said she was very giggly and very bubbly still, and she was not ashamed of anything she had done at the Healing Touch. So let's get into what happened behind those doors. And it's actually a little comical. I find a little bit of humor in it. I don't know if you will, but let's get into it. So they asked her if she thought of herself as a working girl. And she said, absolutely not. She was in customer service. She said she would talk to her clients. She would give them advice. She would counsel her clients. And she was a shoulder for them to cry on. She would give them tips on how to work on their marriage, or if they were having problems at home. She would tell them if they were being a jerk about things, or maybe they needed to go buy their wife flowers. You know, she took an interest in them. She said that she could remember everything about the clients, if their children were having a baseball game, or if there was an anniversary coming up, and she would remember to ask them these things. Hey, how did the birthday party go? Or how was that graduation you went to? And the clients would feel like, oh my gosh, you know, she remembers things about me. I'm important to her. And she said that, so she felt like she was doing more than just giving them extras. She was their friends as well. So I will leave a picture of Lexus. Lexus has no shame in her game. She was very proud of her past. She was proud of what she did. She was proud of the money she made. And you know what? She's an adult, and she did what she had to do, and she paid her dues, and good for Lexus. I will say, if you want to watch the Lifetime video, it's probably still out there. You can probably get it on Netflix, YouTube, maybe even Lifetime. It's great how Jennifer Love Hewitt did the movie, because it's very much like what I read the true story to be. So go ahead, go watch it if you want to. It's good. It's a pretty good story. And thank you for watching my video. I did want to remind you to go ahead and, you know, make sure that you tell everybody in your life that you love them. And make sure that you show them that you love them. You call them, you text them, you hear their voice. You do that every day, because I could tell you that there's going to come a day when you're not going to be able to do that. You won't. And do it all that you can right now. Love them. Show them that you love them, because time is fast here on earth, and that time can be taken from you. And I can tell you, even though I always did that with my daughter and my mother and my father, I still miss them. But I do have a little bit of peace knowing that I did get to talk to them a lot, and I did get to tell them a lot that I love them. And I know that they knew that, and I knew that they loved me. So spend your days with the people that you love and the people that matter, and try and look for something good in every day. Every single day, try and be thankful that you have someone you love and someone that loves you. And if you don't think anybody loves you, then I love you. Okay? So thank you for tuning in. I hope that you like this video. I hope you have a nice day. Do something nice for yourself. Bye. See you next time.